Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Raven here. I've got a very unfortunate story to tell today. For those of you that do not know about this is from the 1985 volcanic eruption in Armero, Colombia, and it unalived thousands of people. Now, this is going to have a whole lot of sad information. Zach Baggins did a thing on it in his new show that he has come up recently, which, if you haven't seen it, he's the, voice actor. He's the host and he's the narrator. Let's get into it. The Armero tragedy occurred following the eruption of the Nevado del Rios stratovolcano in Tolima, Colombia, on November 13th, 1985. The volcano's eruption, after 69 years of dormancy, caught nearby towns unprepared. Even though volcanological organizations had warned the government to evacuate the area after they detected volcanic activity 2 months earlier. Now, I will also say this, in Armero, Colombia, those individuals that live in that town were told to stay in their homes. Nearby cities and towns were told to evacuate. Just adding that. As pyroclastic flows erupted from the volcano center, I don't know why I keep saying volcanoes, I'm sorry. From the volcano's crater, they melted the mountain's glaciers, sending 4 enormous lahars, which is like mud flows, landslides, debris, down its slope at about 30 miles per hour or 50 kilometers per hour. The lahars picked up speed in gullies. And if you don't know what a gullies is, it is a landform created by running water. And engulfed the town of Armero, carrying more than 20,000 of its almost 29,000 inhabitants. Casualties in other towns, particularly Chinchina, brought the overall death toll to 23,000. Footage and photographs of Amaria Sanchez, a young victim of the disaster, were published around the world, which I will be showing images of this, so this is quite disturbing. Other photographs of the lahars and the impact of the disaster captured attention worldwide and led to controversy over the degree to which the Colombian government was responsible for the disaster. A banner at a mass funeral read, "The volcano didn't kill 22,000 people. The government did." That's sad to think about, that during a mass funeral, they had that read. Now, this was done in a nearby town in Obaji, the capital of Tolima. Okay, so that's where all this was done. The mass funeral and everything else. The relief efforts were hindered by the composition of the mud, which made it nearly impossible to move through without becoming stuck themselves. By the time relief workers reached Armero 12 hours after the eruption, many of the victims with serious injuries were deceased. The relief workers were horrified by the landscape of fallen trees, disfigured human remains, and piles of debris from entire houses. This was the second deadliest volcanic disaster of the 20th century, surpassed only by the 1902 eruption of Mount Pelée, which maybe we'll do that one next, and is the 4th deadliest volcanic event recorded since the 1500s. The event was a foreseeable catastrophe, and it was, horrifying. It was, in history, volcanoes destructive. Geologists and other experts had warned the authorities and media outlets of the danger weeks and days leading up to it. Hazard maps for the vicinity were prepared but poorly distributed. On the day of the eruption, several evacuation attempts were made, but a severe storm restricted communications. Many victims stayed in their houses as they had been instructed, believing that the eruption had ended. The noise from the storm may have prevented many from hearing the sounds of the eruption until it was too late. Nevado del Ruiz has erupted several times since 1985 and continues to threaten up to 500,000 people living along the Cambema, Chinchina, Coaltocha, and Guali River valleys. a lahar or a group of lahars similar in size to the 1985 event might travel as far as 100 kilometers or 60 miles from the volcano and could be triggered by a small eruption. To counter this threat, the Colombian government established a specialized office which administers the National System for Identification, Prevention, Preparedness, and Management of Natural Disasters, the National Unit for Management of Disaster Risk. The United States Geological Survey also created the Volcano Disaster Assistance Program and the Volcano Crisis Assistance Team, which evacuated roughly 75,000 people from the area around Mount Pinatubo before its 91 eruption. All Colombian counties, by law, have a territorial plan that includes identification of natural threats, treatment for building permits, and preparedness for the prevention and management of natural disasters through planning programs. In 1988, 3 years after the eruption, Stanley Williams of Louisiana State University said, with the possible exception of Mount St. Helens in the state of Washington, no other volcano in the Western Hemisphere is being watched so elaborately as Nevado del Ruiz. Communities living near the volcano had become wary of volcanic activity. When it erupted in 1989, more than 2,300 people living around it were evacuated. Now, there's also another thing that happened in Armero as well that I should also mention. Before this took place, years before, there was a priest, and he was unfortunately beheaded. And he has said something quite scary. But before I get into what he says, let's get into what actually happened. His name was Pedro Ramirez Ramos. He was a Colombian Roman Catholic priest, and he was killed during the outbreak of the Colombian Civil War, known as La Violencia. He served as a pastor of Armero, where he was stationed until his murder in 1948. The outbreak of the conflicts, his families offered to smuggle him out of the town for his safety, which he refused, saying that he would not abandon his people in their hour of need. But liberal insurgents who saw him as an instigator of the assassination of a leading national politician burst into his church, took him to the center square where he was lynched and mutilated. The cause for Ramirez's canonization was opened in 1993. His beatification was approved in July of 2017 by Pope Francis. Now, his final words are, "No stone shall be left upon a stone in Armero." Some also say that his last words laid the groundwork for an avengable curse that caused the volcanic eruption. Now, I got some of this information from Destinations of the Damned, which is a new show that Zach Bagans has made. He sends a crew to go investigate all of it. If you want to get more background of it, I would recommend either looking it up or going and watching that show. It is definitely jaw-dropping, and it is definitely something that I never want to see happen again in a lifetime. With that being said, if you guys would like to know more about volcanic eruption disasters and things of that nature, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll be happy to comment more on it for you. In the meantime, if you liked today's video, if you found it informative, or you hope that all the victims, whether it be the priest or whether it be the victims of the volcanic eruption itself, if you hope that they rest in peace, please leave a like on this video. And before I go, I want to say one thing. The dead from Armero were never properly buried, and it is said that people are going in and stealing bones from the deceased and selling them for black magic, dark magic, witchcraft, demonic summoning. I mean, it's insane, and I hope that that stops. And it's horrible to think that these poor innocent victims are unable to rest because now their souls and their bodies are being used in horrible, horrible situations. We need to just let them rest. It's bad enough that the people can't even go to where majority of their houses are, or where most of their family members died, because of all the venomous, deadly animals and everything else that are in those woods and forests, which is taking over Armero. Alrighty, everyone. I will see you all next time. Bye.